Okay, so I'm going to do a really quick tutorial about how to shorten skirts that have this liner in it. So basically this fabric and the liner are attached to each other, then that's kind of just how it's hemmed. And it's just a really good skill to have, to be honest. It's also how you do like reversible tops and reversible shorts and stuff like that. So overall, it's just good to know. And I'm going to try my best to explain it because this took me so long to understand. I could not get this for the longest time. So here we go. In general, I'm going to be talking about a skirt. This one did start really long, and then I shortened it, and then I decided I wanted to do it again. So I'm only going to be shortening this a little bit. Okay, so you probably can't tell, but I marked the skirt where I want it to be, and I want to take 2 inches off the bottom. So I want it to like be this length when it's finished. So then you also have to think about the liner underneath and how high up you want this crease to be. So if I wanted the liner to be an inch above this, then that would mean that my liner is 11 inches. So this will be 11 inches, this will be 12 inches. 11, 12. But to make sure that this doesn't go too short, you want to make up for the fold when you're coming this way. So the amount of distance here, you need to cut here as well, if that makes sense. So my numbers are easy. So since my liner is going to be 11 inches, my top fabric is going to be 12 inches. So that's only 1 inch. So to make up for that crease, I need to cut an inch below that mark. So for me, I'm only cutting 1 inch off the bottom for now. So the first thing we're going to do, and the layers can be attached, just kind of make sure everything lines up underneath. And I'm going to do that in a second. And then just go ahead and cut at the 1 inch mark or whatever that looks like for you. Okay, so now once you have that, my skirt is kind of nice and I can just fully flip it. If yours is like attached by the zipper or something, just do the best you can with this flip. But now we're going to take another inch, in my case, maybe longer for you, but the same amount off again from the liner. So I'm just lining this up and then I'm going to take 1 inch off. Okay, so from here, you're pretty much ready to set up sewing. So we're going to want the back of the skirt on the ground. So you want the front of the skirt facing up or wherever you want to start your seam, because we're going to leave a gap in the seam that we make, and I want mine to be in the back of the skirt. So I'm starting my seam in the back, if that makes sense. Okay, so now let me get it closer. Okay, so now what you want is you want to think about it like how you want the final seam. So you want the right side, which is here, to be against the right side, which is here, so that your seam goes inside of it. So to be able to achieve that, you have to be able to kind of make a tube that you can still flip inside out. Because if you just sewed the bottom together like this, no matter how many different times you try, you aren't going to be able to flip it back. So instead, you are going to take the top 2 pieces, so the front of your skirt, both right fabric or project fabric and liner fabric, and just kind of like get them out of the way, because you want this right side. You can mark it if you need to, if it gets confusing. So that's the right side here, and then the right side here. And you want those 2 X's to touch each other. So you also can use these seams and then just line them up. And if you feel super confident, you can just start sewing here and keep going until you get back around to leave like a 2 inch gap and then meet me back. But if not, go ahead and pin this. So once you get that pin there, it kind of feels like you're holding everything in this little like taco shell almost. And so you can choose which way you're going to pin and just keep pinning the 2 pieces together. And then what you'll notice is that you have to start pulling from inside the tube. And then it's just going to loop back around. So once I get to this pin and you feel like you're kind of at the end, you just pull more of the skirt, like, out of itself. See, this is what I was talking about with the explanation. It's so hard to explain. But now we're at the side seam, and so I can make sure that those two match up, and then pin that there. And then I'm just going to start sewing. So as you sew, you just pull more of this fabric out, and then eventually, since it's a circle, as you're sewing, you will get back around to where your pins are. Okay, so now we're at our sewing machine, and I was also just thinking that if your skirt has a zipper, unzip it, and then you don't even have to leave a gap here. So you can start your seam and end your seam, and you'll be good to go. So, you know, start sewing. I'm going to start like basically right on that pin. I'm going to pull the pin out though before I start. And then I'm just going to do a straight stitch all the way around. So I'm going to do the whole thing so that you can kind of see me shifting the fabric and stuff in a higher speed. And I'm going to use a contrasting thread so that hopefully it's kind of easy to tell what I'm doing. But let me get it started. Reverse. Okay. And then just keep going all the way around and take your pins out as you go and just keep pulling from the middle to keep the right sides together. Okay, hopefully that was helpful, but also I'm going to go straight in that seam. That, you get the gist, like just straight stitch all the way around. Keep it even. I'm going to go fix mine. Okay, so if you left a gap in your seam, flip the skirt inside out from that gap. If you left your zipper open, flip the skirt inside out through the zipper. And you'll be able to pretty much shake this out and have your skirt. So I'm gonna zip it up, and then you just pull, pull it until you have the length of your skirt, and then you're gonna iron or steam right there, and then I'm just gonna show it to you. But this is our seam, and we're just gonna iron that so that it's not as like puffy. We want like a nice little crease as our hem. I also realize now that I didn't really show it to you on before, and I didn't mention that it's low rise, so 12 inches probably sounded really short, and it is short. There it is. Better for what I need it for. Hopefully that helped you out a little bit.